All right, let's get to this about the subconscious mind. Now, we talk about this often. We mention it often. The subconscious mind, how it operates us, and how it is manipulated by propaganda. Recall our discussion of the role of the subconscious mind and the power of the subconscious mind to largely govern our lives. It makes thousands of learned decisions, judgments instantly and without recourse to our conscious minds. For example, it enabled our remote ancestors to pick and eat berries, while the conscious mind remained alert to threats and opportunities. Today, among many other activities, it enables us to drive our cars while we use our conscious minds for many other matters. Obviously, the power of the subconscious to inform and guide us is of great benefit. However, it is also an Achilles heel. This is where the psychological warfare operators for governments manipulate and control populations. There is no like mysterious signals coming through the screens. They don't need that. So far, there's nothing that compares to controlling the input by way of entertainment to the subconscious mind, and therefore the perceived world that we live in. Nothing compares to this. So you'll have a lot of content creators that want to talk about like exotic forms of control, 5G towers, and it's all garbage. They don't need any of that. They have complete control in every country. And the people in governance in every country know and understand this. And the fact that it's real is the reason why you don't see every little dilettante girl showing up saying, I know exactly how we are controlled, and then talking about this, because this is how it's actually done. The subconscious mind is like a block of clay that can be molded without our intent or recognition, and irrespective of reason, logic, and evidence. I want you to really hone in on that. The subconscious mind will accept as reality and the events of reality without recourse to reason, logic, and evidence, especially when the conscious mind is occupied with the notion that what it's observing is entertainment, and so lowers all of its barriers. If I were sitting with you, I would be very annoying, because I would be pointing out all of the anti-whiteism, all that they're doing, ruining the fantasy. That's what actually has to be done. Because if you're not intervening right then, you are being manipulated. This is what the psychological warfare operators understand and count on and need for their control. It's that your hubris makes you think. The hubris of the conscious mind makes you think that you can't be manipulated this way, that you know it's fiction, but you don't. The part of your brain that knows it's fiction is 5% of your lived thoughts, emotions, movements, decisions, etc. The subconscious mind, indiscriminately absorbs information, regardless of truth or falsehood. People whose minds are untrained are easily convinced of falsehoods. If such falsehoods are not dispelled, they seat themselves firmly in our subconscious minds. Importantly, this increasing depth conceals and strengthens their influence, their control over our identities. All this figured out years ago, and we could have been fighting back. But even the Arvels, as nice and fair as they are, not mentioning it. Such deep infections are so thoroughly ingrained in the origin of our personalities and characters that it is difficult to differentiate them from ourselves. This is where it becomes so difficult and such a challenge to address these mean pathogens, these notions in the subconscious mind. Trying to disassociate them from your identity, the further back you go, is increasingly difficult. It's one of the reasons why you can look at the different generations and you can see the footprint of anti-whiteism at their childhoods and at their formative years. That becomes their identity. So much of what people criticize about this generation or that is a consequence of the anti-whiteism at the time. Whatever it was at the time, it still lives with them. It's still part of them to their dying day. It's amazing. It's amazing that it's been figured out. Consider emotionally charged beliefs, such as religion or politics. It can be difficult to differentiate such beliefs from ourselves. If we try to imagine ourselves without such beliefs, the person we imagine may no longer seem like us. In other words, such beliefs come to form parts of our identity. Tragically, the same process has occurred with MPs in Western kind. The MPs which we've been infected with were delivered as factual, authoritative, and sacred by the many arms of the regime, the governments, academia, and news and entertainment media. Furthermore, and this holds true for pure fiction. Why? What did I just tell you about the subconscious mind? It cannot tell the difference. It absorbs as reality without recourse to reason, logic, and evidence. That's how you get to these places where you can talk to a vague, as I have many, many times, an anti-white many, many times, and they'll tell you about how with absolute confidence they aver to you that non-white people are always victimized by white people, and they know all the different ways, and they know all the ways that they're suffering, but they don't have a single study. They don't have something that would otherwise be considered objective reality. How do they know that? Where is it coming from? They haven't physically been in all of these places over all of this time. How are they so sure? How are they as sure of those things as they are that they are standing before you or talking to you in that moment? It's the subconscious warfare control over your mind. But Newsfist is not going to do a show on how genius Jason is and how he figured out X, Y, and Z. It's been here all along, the answer. He won't do it. He won't be mentioning us as an example. The social authorities have reinforced these ideas throughout our lives by rewarding those who conform and punishing those who dissent. You go to school. You're learning in school. You're learning by way of entertainment media. You get to school. You learn by entertainment media, you get to work. And the people there are enforcing this anti-white narrative. They reward those who do the right thing vis-a-vis the narrative and punish those who do the wrong thing. Where did they get their knowledge of the world? How are they so sure? How do they have such conviction about the exploitation of non-whites by white people that you deserve to lose your job if you are not going to yield obeisance and be apologetic and self-flagging yourself for the evil of the white race? How do they know? Psychological warfare exercised on the subconscious mind. I've given speeches on this over 20 years ago, every bit of it, on how entertainment is the most deadly thing that we interact with over the course of our lives. People think about entertainment like it's just as blasé as they possibly could. Complete, not another thought. What's on the TV? What's in the movie? What's at the movie theater? Let's head and go have some entertainment for the night. You are putting a loaded pistol in your mouth if you're white. And this isn't Russian roulette. Every chamber has a bullet, and you're repeatedly pulling the trigger. That's what entertainment does. Unless you're going to intervene and make it very annoying for those around you or yourself. And that's what we will have to teach to our youth. Entertainment is not safe. It's not just another movie. It's not just, you think about Harry Potter, and you had Christians came out and they're like, well, some Christians were worried about the wizardry aspect of this. No, it's the anti-whiteism in the movie that's destroying the clergy, that's destroying the church, that's destroying the kids. Our subconscious minds, as a result of this formative period, molding and lifelong reinforcement, are deeply infected with a broad range of MPs. Conscious and unconscious thought are similar to surface and deep sea currents. Surface currents, like conscious thoughts, are superficial relative to deep sea currents, subconscious thoughts. Deep sea currents drive the oceans around our planet, whereas surface currents can be altered by the wind. Really think about that too, because every day, something new. Conscious mind can be altered at a whim, but these deeper notions that are set in the subconscious mind are not changing unless you engage in the practice. Surface currents can be altered by the wind. The deep sea currents are the pulse and governing power in the ocean. Interestingly, we use the saying, wherever the wind blows, to underscore the ease with which conscious opinion changes. But the surface, superficial opinions and currents that are easily changed are much less important to you, your identity, and your process of going free. Rather, it is the deep sea currents, the MPs infecting your subconscious, which you need to address to truly go free. You know, the witty guys over at and some of them I'm sure are quite witty actually, at the Old Glory Club, they won't be discussing this. They won't say, this is amazing. This was figured out a long time ago. It's a shame that nobody knows. We should talk about this. We should talk about, one person could say, I think this about that, and the other one could say, I think that about. They're not going to talk about that. No, they're going to tell you about what one writer said about a philosopher and what one writer said about a particular group of settlers or something like this. And then they can get into their little spats over what that means. They won't be talking about this. Killing the message of liberation. Killing the message of salvation. So they'll continue exercising the control over us. And white people are given the opportunity to take up what works and advocate for this, rather than the pedantic prattling of sitting around and debating about these things, or entertaining themselves, or blaming non-whites, or blaming abstractions so that you don't have to talk about white people being victimized. This is it. We're here, all of us right now. This is the opportunity we have, and we're serving the Lord as he saw fit to place us here in this moment.